Hi, this is Ellie and I'm back for another video on my channel. Today I'm going to talk about my tips and tricks for a natural drug-free delivery. I had my baby 3 months ago. She was 3 months old yesterday. Oh, she grows so fast. And I wanted to do my delivery without an epidural. And so I thought, hey, if I can do it, anyone can, first of all. And so I thought I'd just share my tips on what I found helpful during that time. And anyway, let's get started. Number one, I would say, is you need to get your partner on board. When I first told my husband that I wanted to do my delivery or my labor drug-free without an epidural, he just could not understand it. He thought, like, why would you possibly want to do that? If such an amazing invention as an epidural is around, why would you want to endure that pain? And so I had to explain to him that I felt like if my body was strong enough to do it, then I wanted to try. And I also am low-key scared of anything like needles in my spinal cord. It really freaks me out. I'm not scared of needles at all in my arms or wherever, but for some reason the thought of a needle in my spinal cord just freaked me out. Another reason I didn't want an epidural is because I didn't like the idea of not being able to feel when to push, and even not being able to feel when the relief of when the baby comes out. Anyway, she's my first baby, but that's what I'd heard other people talk about, so I thought that I would try it without an epidural as well. And so once I explained to Rick the reasons why I didn't want an epidural, he totally got on board. And I have to say that if he had not been understanding of it, it would have been really, really difficult, because during that time, I can almost guarantee you at some point you're gonna want to cave, and if you're at that point and your husband or your partner is encouraging you to get pain medication, you probably will. Anyway, I would have. So I can just speak from my experience. So yeah, that would be my number one tip, is get your husband on board. My number two tip would be to hire a doula. Oh my goodness. If you see a little hand coming up, is my baby's feeding. Cute little hand. Yeah, we hired a doula and she was amazing. I'm gonna say that we could not, I say we as if my husband was also delivering, but I could not have done it without her at all. She came out a couple times to our house before we had her, and just to explain the process and what to expect. And she also went over different pain management techniques. She helped my husband figure out some massages that might work on my back, and just a ton of really, really good information she gave us. And so that in itself was really helpful. And then she also went over what pre-labor might feel like and told us to call her before we went into the hospital, so that she said that by listening to the way I was breathing, she could probably tell whether or not it was actual labor. And she was just so helpful. And then when I did go into labor, she was there to help Rick with the cold washcloths and helping him and giving him breaks so he could go to the bathroom. So she would hold the shower head in the shower. I did a lot of laboring in the shower, and so she would be in there and hold the shower head over my back, and she was just so helpful. And then also she was always so encouraging. Anytime I said, oh, I can't do this, I'm not strong enough, she said, yes, you are strong enough. She also brought some different supplies to the hospital. So she brought a medicine ball. I was gonna bring mine and then I forgot. So when Rick texted her or called her to say that we're in labor, he asked her to bring hers. So that was awesome. And she brought some honey sticks so I could suck on them for energy, because when you're in labor, you typically aren't allowed to eat. And depending on how long your labor goes, your body can get really exhausted. I didn't feel hungry, but I still needed the energy, and she knew that. Anyway, she was just so helpful. And at 7 centimeters, I believe, I was stuck at 7 centimeters for a long time. And I remember just saying, like, Rick, please get me something. I need something for this pain. I just can't do it. And so she was there, our doula was there to say, I think you can do it without, but let's try some gas. I think it's called laughing gas. I can't remember. She had another term for it, but I can't remember. If I figure it out, I'll link it below. But she got the nurses to bring me that just to see if that would help. Now that didn't help with the pain at all. It's not supposed to. It's just it helps you to forget, I guess, or it distracts you between contractions. I don't know. I just know that whenever my contraction would start, I would suck on the tube so hard, and the nurses would be like, "Oh, calm down, you're gonna get so lightheaded," because I didn't understand what it was supposed to do, so I kept thinking it was gonna get my pain to go down, but it wouldn't. I would just like keep sucking on it until my contraction would start to go down, and so I think, oh, this is helping, but it actually was just my contraction ending. So I guess it was just a distraction. Without Rick and without the doula, I would have caved for sure. I just did not think I was strong enough. So my number 2 tip would be to hire a doula. Number 3 would be to research and try a bunch of different pain management techniques. So some that I found that I thought would be really helpful for me would be massage. I thought if Rick would massage my back, that would really help. And then some others I had considered was counting down your contraction or counting up towards the end of your contraction. So if you've had contractions for a while and you know about how long they will be, then get somebody to help count down. So at the start of it, go 60, 59, 58, 57, and then at around 10 seconds, you know it's going to get better. And so I know I was going to do that, but for some reason I totally forgot about that when I was in labor. But just look up a bunch of different things and think of which ones would work for you, and then just try them once you're in labor. I mean, you can't try them when you're not in labor. You don't know if they're gonna work. So just try a bunch of different things once you are in labor and find your rhythm and go with it. So in the end, the only thing that worked for me was being in the shower and also leaning over the hospital bed. So I was totally at a 90 degrees, like I was totally bent over. And that's the only thing that could help me get through a contraction. Bouncing on the medicine ball didn't work. Rick massaging my back didn't work. And I think it was partially because Addie was turned sunny side up. So anytime anyone would touch my back, it would just not go over well. So yeah, so the third thing I would say, again, is to research a bunch of different pain management techniques and then try them out and see which one will work for you. Number 4 is to make a plan, but then be ready to toss it out the window if you need to, because you don't know what was gonna come up in your labor that was unexpected or just can't be planned for. For example, I know a friend of mine was going to have her baby without an epidural as well, but she ended up having I think a 36 or 48 hour labor, and so there's only so long a body can function without sleep. And in the end, she didn't have to, but she did choose to get an epidural, and so that she could get a little bit of rest before pushing. So just something like that. Like, you just don't know how long your labor will be. You don't know how your body will open up. You don't know. There's just so many unknowns. And sometimes you even have to have a C-section. And I know I was so terrified of it because both my sisters were not able to have their babies naturally. So I just thought it was a genetic thing. I was so terrified and I wanted so badly to have my baby naturally, and it worked out. So you just never know. But it is very important to make a plan, so and to write it down so the nurses that are with you can read it, so they all know, and the doctor will know exactly what you want. So if there's anything specific that you want or don't want, make sure to write it down. For example, I wanted delayed clamping, and that was important to write down. And I also didn't want to be offered an epidural all the time. Like, I wanted them to know that I had chose not to get an epidural, and if I changed my mind, then I would ask them. So I knew that them constantly offering it to me would not only get annoying, but I might cave, so I didn't want that. So I specifically said not to offer me the epidural. And so in regards to making a plan, it's good for a lot of other things other than, like, even if you do want to get an epidural, it's still good to make a plan. That's good for your whole delivery and labor and delivery. So make a plan regardless, but it's especially important to put your preferences on pain medication on there. And then my last tip, number 5, would be to visualize what your body is doing. That makes you understand why you're suffering the kind of pain you are when you visualize your cervix opening, your body's totally changing in order for you to birth the baby. It just helps you understand, but it also helps you focus on what it is that your body is doing. And some would go as far as to say that visualizing your cervix opening and your baby moving down can even help that process go faster. I don't know. I'm no expert on that kind of stuff, but I do know that respecting and appreciating your body during that time can help bring your focus to a whole nother level where you can I guess kind of appreciate the pain. Maybe that's a little far-fetched, but like in the end you'll have a beautiful baby in your arms and nothing can compare to it. I know people were telling me what they felt and what it was like, but I have my doula took a little video right when I first got the baby on my chest, and till this day it makes me like weepy watching it, although I did sound crazy in it. Holla. It's just weird how different you sound when you're in this like euphoric state. Like my voice just like was high pitched, and it was weird. It was weird but beautiful at the same time. I love having that. And anyway, so I thought I'd quickly recap the 5 tips I have. Number 1, get your husband on board or your partner, whoever is going to be in the hospital room with you. Number 2, hire a doula. Number 3, research pain management techniques. Number 4, make a plan. And number 5, visualize what your body is doing. That will really help you get through your labor without having to cave for an epidural. Now I want to say before I leave that getting an epidural is amazing. There is nothing wrong with it. I know so many people that have gotten an epidural, and I know people that haven't. In the end, it's your body, it's your choice, and as long as your baby's health is your number 1 focus, nothing else should matter. I absolutely hate when women just are so mean to each other, and I've read an article about the fact that a C-section isn't an actual birth or something crazy like that, and I just think it's just so crazy. Like, when you get your baby into this world, that's all that matters, and whatever way you choose it, that's your choice, and nothing else should matter. We should all be building each other up as women and not bringing each other down. Like, that is, I'm all for that. Oh yeah, I was gonna say that on my lips I'm wearing Mellow lipstick in Posh and a lip gloss, a buxom lip gloss in White Russian on top. Love it. Anyway, that is everything for today. I am thinking of getting into decluttering my house, and I thought I might do it on camera just for motivation and let you guys come along. Let me know if that's something you guys like to see. Have a good day.